rigorously process to design a reuse innovation center vision that really would meaningfully address waste diversion, not just a cool little ecosystem of enterprises. So we did a waste dive and a dive into types of diversion businesses, conceptual plan, a look at siting, and then a pull it together thing. And I just got lucky. Dave Bennett from Reuse Consulting is the creator of the first, second, third, and fourth reuse innovation centers in the country, and just, you know, eats and sleeps and breathes this stuff. And Barbara Todd, our program coordinator, had come to Sustainable Hudson Valley 2 years ago and was saying, I need something really substantive to, you know, stick my teeth into. And I think she's forgiven me. But she has been the organizational force behind this project. So we have Dave on Zoom from Bellingham, Washington. We have half a dozen other people on Zoom. I want to shout out to the Recycling Oversight Committee and the Energy, Environment, and Sustainability Committee of the legislature, and also the Department of the Environment, which has been our direct reporting point. And as I said last time, pretty rigorous taskmaster around putting lots of data and lots of clear definitions into what we're doing. And it is not everything that we need for waste diversion. It is not a recycling facility. It is reuse specifically and light kind of manufacturing and remanufacturing, but focusing especially on buildings, so that, because that's heavy and that's big and that's central. So I'm going to hand it to Barbara to just facilitate. We've done one kind of final report meeting about a week and a half ago. And this is going to include a tighter version of that. But the focus really here is on you and on potential partners, municipal. We talked with the city of Kingston about potentially being part of a collection ecosystem. How this is a little from us and then a lot from you. So we thank you for being here.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you again for being here. And thanks to everybody on Zoom for being able to find the time to join us. As you can see, I don't think there's anybody else to let into the Zoom.
All right, I'll do slides. You talk to the people.
Yeah, I need to look at the slides.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right.
A little hard for me to do both, sorry. Okay, but if you could check to see if anybody joins, that would be great.
I will do that.
If anybody's in the waiting room.
Okay.
So, just introductions. I think Melissa already identified who's involved. We contracted with Ulster County to do this feasibility study and strategic plan for a reuse innovation center. We identified who we are, mentioned Dave. This is what we're going to try to run through today. Some of it gets a little bit wordy, but we don't want to take up so much time talking about it as we do want to hear from you. So I hope you'll bear with us on what this is all about. That introductions that's what you kind of already did as far as our team, and then we're going to get to a few slides in where we're going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves and talk about what you do and what you might hope to get out of a reuse innovation center. That will be number 3 here. And then we'll go into what the project phases were very briefly, because we don't want to go into a vast amount of detail there, although we could. And more about the practical aspects of what reuse innovation centers do and what materials we thought we'd focus on, but that's not the Bible. And then the plan and discussion with you. So the goals of the project, as far as Ulster County is concerned, as per their contract with us, maximize diversion opportunities, obviously, maximize diversion so that it doesn't go to the landfill. And supporting the local circular economy, which is a big part of why you're here and what the RIC is. It's a collaborative effort of reuse organizations to divert stuff from the landfill that can be used. It's not the only solution. It's conceived of as part of a solution. I am so sorry.
That's Dave trying to get back into the Zoom. Sorry, working on it.
Okay. Second. Apologize, we got people who admit, so now I'm admitting all of them. Okay. All right. So I'll just move on here. Oh, and yeah, it's worth mentioning that some things are out of scope, right? Organics, toxic stuff that would be heavily regulated and potentially loud and noisy and obnoxious for people in the community. Those things are out of scope. Dave?
I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Great.
So you're
Uh,
on, and we're at the slide where it's, what is a reuse innovation center?
Correct. Yeah. So I came up with the name Reuse Innovation Center, and basically it was from 30 years of being in the circular economy, not just running a circular business, but actually helping start almost 90 other reuse businesses, and helping over 200 total circular businesses. And so what we learned from that was what some of the things that people, some of the problems, some of the challenges, some of the things that worked, some of the things that didn't work. And the Reuse Innovation Center was meant to solve a lot of those problems so that the circular economy could grow. And we deal with a lot of different materials, 25 different material types so far at our existing reuse innovation centers. And the thing is, it's basically, sometimes we call it a business cooperative because we're trying to think of a name. And, where you have all these businesses working in a synergistic way, looking after each other, but mainly looking after their own business, working together in a synergistic way, sharing expenses in some cases, and but hitting the circular economy from lots of different angles, all the way from extracting materials through like building deconstruction, all the way to installing materials like installing, reclaimed wood flooring. So you've got all the way from taking it out to putting it back in. And that, if you look at the circular economy and you look at a circle of that, actually completes the cycle for a lot of materials. So that is just the beginning of what the Reuse Innovation Center is.
Okay, at this point, we'd kind of like to hear a little bit about you guys. So if we can, should we start with the folks on the Zoom and then go around the room? Okay, I'm gonna ask Adam to tell us who he is first.
Hi there, everybody. Great to meet you all. And this sounds like a fantastic resource. I only just heard about you guys fairly recently. Here's us. We have a company we're just starting, officially launching January 24, called Cycling Batteries. You may be, for the short version of what we do is, you may be familiar with a company called Back Market, or if you're not familiar with them, you may be familiar with the idea of purchasing a 2-year-old cell phone, which has been refurbished and warranted and guaranteed, looks like new, feels like new, but is 30% cheaper, and is made by refurbishing an old 2-year-old broken cell phone. we're going to do for the cell phone industry, for the lithium-ion battery industry, what these guys are doing for the cell phone industry. Namely, we refurbish used, worn-out e-bike batteries. We give them 30% greater longevity and power than they had originally. We do it safely. We're UL certified. We're insured. We do it really properly. And the waste materials from this process, we 100% recycle with our recycling partners. Redwood Materials you may know of, Blue Whale Materials you may not know of. Anyway, the bottom line, as far as Hudson Valley is concerned, is we're setting up a demonstration lithium-ion collection point in Chatham and upstate New York. We are intending to replicate this demonstration project, if successful, across New York State with 200 or 300 lithium-ion battery collection points for e-bike batteries and other lithium-ion batteries of that size. We don't deal with car batteries. We'd love to partner with you guys in any way. I think that's enough for now.
All right, thank you. So I'm gonna ask everybody to try to do about 30 seconds so that we can, get on with this, because we've got an hour and a half, but I know that people don't want to stay any longer than they have to. I'm gonna have Eliza Edge next, and then Timothy Rose. Eliza, you're muted. Okay, how about Timothy? Can you unmute?
Sure. My name is Tim Rose. I received an invite to participate this very early in the process, and I was happy to join in. I'm the Director of Environmental Health at the Ulster County Department of Health, but prior to this, I worked in solid waste and recycling for about 10 years, so I have a little bit of a background in this. Thank you.
And Dave, I don't know if you want to just clarify who you are, because I think a couple people got in here late after Melissa introduced.
Yeah, I'm Dave Bennick. I created the first Reuse Innovation Center and came up with a concept, and now we're starting them all over North America.
Awesome.
Sorry, who was that?
That was Dave Bennick, our consultant, our primary consultant on this project.
Oh, great, Dave. I'd love to talk to you after this.
Vanessa Capuccio and then Jason Karp.
Hello, my name is Vanessa Capuccio Bear. I'm here on behalf of Arts Mid-Hudson. The intersection between the arts and sustainability is very strong, and it's only getting stronger. So I'm really excited to hear about this model and what the Reuse Innovation Center looks like in intersection with the arts. One of our staff members at Arts Mid-Hudson, Eleanor Levy, has started Queen Bee Art Pantry, which is a sustainable art pantry where people donate their craft materials and use different found materials in efforts to make the arts more sustainable. So I'm excited to hear more about that overlap. Thanks.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know they were doing that. Thanks for telling us that.
It's very new, so.
Great. Jason?
Hey everyone, my name is Jason. I've been very interested in deconstruction for a few years now. I've connected with Dave offline before. He kind of is the one that told me about this initiative. It's in my neck of the woods, and I've just been following it as much as I can. So I plan to participate as much as possible. And like I said, when deconstruction comes around, I'm highly interested. I do have to drop at 4:30, but I'll pop back on at 5.
Great, thank you. Casey Plasker and then Caitlin Murray.
I'm also in the room, so you can skip me for now.
Oh, thank you. Okay, actually, I skipped Joanne. Let me go to Joanne Louis Paul.
Hello, yeah, Joanne Louis Paul. I just started working with Sustainable Hudson Valley as the climate and energy communications intern. And I also run a Facebook group called Hudson Valley United Freelancers and Entrepreneurs. There's a little over 2,400 people in there, and I'm very interested to just get this information out to them to see which businesses could potentially participate in it. And I'm actually partnering with Caitlin Murray, who she'll, mention how we're working with each other when she intros herself. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. And Caitlin?
Hi there, Caitlin Murray here. I am the founder and CEO of an upcycled clothing company called La Vie Après l'Amour. I just opened a store on the Rondout in Kingston, called Maison Après. And so I'm very committed to taking clothes that are going into landfill, receiving them and turning them into something new. But the initiative that I started with Joanne this year was Hudson Valley Sustainable Fashion Week. And so we actually hosted our first fashion show in September to highlight other designers in the sustainable upcycled business. So very intrigued to hear about this center and would love to help and get involved and see how we can all partner. It's nice to meet you all.
Awesome.
Get Eliza to unmute again.
Eliza, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Hey, Eliza Edge. I'm with the Hudson Valley Venture Hub. We are the innovation hotspot in the Hudson Valley region, which means we're accelerating mostly technology, entrepreneurs and startups in our area, but we do work with more high growth consumables and entrepreneurs in manufacturing and really industry agnostic. So I'm here to listen in and be a supporter. And would love to see this happen and have entrepreneurship be a core part of it.
Terrific, thank you. And now let's go around the room. Let's start with Manny Joe.
Can I jump in too?
Sorry, who did I miss?
This is Justine from Found and Fixed Hudson Valley.
Thank you. Yeah, you didn't show up on my. Thank you.
That's okay. I was labeled Barbara for some reason at first. Hi, my name is Justine. I'm from Found and Fixed Hudson Valley. We are a worker cooperative based in Ulster County. We have 8 owners of our business, and we exclusively upcycle home goods, primarily furniture. I'll put information on our business in the chat, but we're just really excited about the work that you're doing. We'd love to get involved and support in any way that we can.
Terrific, thank you. Manager, I'm the legislator, I chair and I chair the environment and sustainability. I'm a select committee, and this is definitely a finite solution. I think that's all for now, other than to say that it was the legislature that funded this feasibility study, and we are absolutely determined that it will be implemented in 2024. And I'm trying to figure out where that budget is going to go, because there's going to be some startup costs, operation, and capital costs. Thank you. Just due to technical situation beyond my control, everybody's hearing you through this little mic over here in the corner. So if you could speak up or walk over or whatever when you introduce yourself, I'd appreciate it.
Do you want me to pass? Can the mic be passed or no, it's plugged in?
Plugged
Okay.
in. It's
Just
plugged
belt it out, everybody.
Just belt it out.
Yeah. Start in the back.
My name is Dan Ahaus.
Dan Ahaus.
I own a consulting company based here in Kingston.
The consulting company in Kingston.
Economic development and community development.
Works on
program.
economic development.
I'm
and
here
development programs.
today on behalf of Hyde Park 87.
He's here on behalf of Hyde
former
Park
Tech
87.
City property.
The former Tech City
explore
property,
possible partnership opportunities, both as
to explore partnership
property that
opportunities.
has 3.5 million square feet of building space that needs pretty substantial makeover. So a potential donor into the system, but also a property that, as I'm listening to people introduce themselves, has tremendous potential for synergy with battery manufacturers being located on that property, with artists programming taking place on that property, And as I said, we have 3.5 million square feet that we need to figure out what to do with. So potentially a site for this facility going forward. So we're really excited about the potential here and look forward to continuing to work with this group of others.
Awesome.
And I'm Leanne Albritton, and I'm with Habitat for Humanity.
Leanne Albritton, Habitat for Humanity.
I'm Christina Kravik, and I own a local thrift store where our promise is that we're actually sharing with each other, and we give around top of everything made for free. And for all.
Christina Kravik.
And the best thrift store in town. Yes. My name is Julie Noble. I'm sustainability coordinator for the city of Kingston.
Julie Noble, Sustainability Coordinator, City of Kingston.
To play a big role in this. That is why I am here. I'm also the recycling coordinator for this.
Also the recycling coordinator for the city.
Hi, I'm Holly Shader, citizen of Ulster County. I coordinate a couple of the repair cafes, and I just think that this is the perfect project, and its time is now.
Wonderful, thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Casey Plasker. I run a consulting business called Circularly, focused on helping organizations implement sustainability and circularity strategies specifically.
I'm Timothy DeGraff. I'm the Director of Finance and Administration for Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. I'm also the Oregon Oregon sometimes previously, maybe in the future, Executive Director of the agency. And we are here because we play a vital role, I think, specifically in this with regards to education. And we're also the solid waste planning.
I'm Anna Rapolo. I'm the interim executive director at Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. And I'm here to listen.
I'm Amanda Rickline. I'm the product manager of Unshattered, and we are a nonprofit organization that employs women who are winning their fight against addiction. We make sustainable handbags from upcycled materials. And I'm here on behalf of the organization today to see where we might be able to partner and where there's alignment.
Show us your handbag.
Beautiful.
Nice.
I'm Vince Murray. I'm a welder in Dutchess County, and I'm pretty involved with a lot of the repair cafes. We like to fix things and not see things get thrown away, of course. And a lot of metal, steel, aluminum, stainless, is going in the landfill, and it doesn't need to. And I'd like to be part of making it so that we can categorize it, make it usable, particularly for artists, sculptors,
awesome,
and for repair work and construction, for agriculture. There's a lot that we can do with stuff like that, and I'm interested to participate.
And did Anna go already? You did, okay. Okay, and I think we have been joined late by, is it Katie Childress? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, my name is Katie Scott Childress. I am, can you hear me okay?
We hear you.
Okay, great. I am the library director of the Rosendale Library and the president of the Ulster County Library Association, which is 21 public libraries in Ulster County. And libraries are great partners in sharing and reusing and communicating, getting the word out. And so we're looking to see what we can do to partner in this sphere, this reuse sphere.
Okay, great. So that's everybody.
It's Emily Hauser who just walked in.
Okay, great. Emily, if you could holler a little bit, because our mic is trapped up here.
Emily Hauser from the city of Kingston. I'm the chair of the Conservation Advisory Council following this project.
Awesome. Okay, I think that's everybody. Did I miss anybody on the Zoom? Sounds like no. Okay. Well, let's just get moving along here. Very briefly, just so you can understand the complexity, the process we have here. These were the phases of the project beginning over a year ago. Understand the waste stream. A great deal of research was done into understanding the existing waste stream and exactly what's special about it, what the materials are, where they come from, where they go. Then the next phase was to identify things that could be, the right materials to share, use, and to reintroduce into the circular economy and to divert from the waste stream. And what is the best opportunity in terms of, demand, usability, and a host of characteristics that we use to identify it with, which would be another whole long discussion in and of itself. After that, we put the information that came out of the first two phases went into conceptualizing a solution that would work specifically in Ulster, and what the RIC might look like, how it might work, what its components might be, sourcing, etc. And then based on what we thought the RIC should do, we thought about what kind of a site it needs to have and what characteristics that site needs to have and what components and sizing and so forth. And then finally, we're at the last phase now where we put all that stuff together and we've made a workable plan. We hope out of it, at least our recommendations for a workable plan, not ultimately up to us, ultimately up to those entities within Ulster County, the legislature, to decide how they're going to implement this. Dave has a few slides. He's going to talk about what the Reuse Innovation Center does. Go ahead, Dave.
All right, here we go. So that diagram that you see there, that's just a rendering, architectural rendering we had made up of a typical Reuse Innovation Center, but every building that we, have access to is going to be different. And if we were to build a building, it probably would be different. There would, it's just something to kind of give representative facility. But what is this Reuse Innovation Center all about? And well, we're collecting materials. What materials? Well, materials that were going to be thrown away, materials that were going to be part of the waste stream and actually were part of the waste stream from the moment that someone decided that they were waste. So that they may not have made it to the dump, but they were still waste materials, and we want to find all kinds of ways to collect those. We're going to transport some of them to the RIC. And when I say we, who am I talking about? I'm talking about you. I'm talking about the entrepreneurs and this team of businesses that are working together and getting this work done. Like one business might be a hauling company. That could be a member, that could be a partner. And they are doing a lot of the transporting, let's say. Another member might be remanufacturing something, making something out of reclaimed wood, like reclaimed wood furniture. They could be taking textiles that we collected from some bigger operation that were about to be wasted, and we connect that material with micro businesses that make clothing out of this. In that case, it wouldn't be used fabrics, it would be surplus fabrics. But one of the, just an example, one of the great things about having a micro business is that you can kind of keep your costs down, but also one of the bad things is you don't have a great showroom that everybody's coming to see. Well, we have a great showroom, and we are going to display your materials in our great showroom. So that's part of working together, right? We're completing each other. So trainees involved in every step. What's that? Well, we are training up a circular workforce nationwide, and in Ulster County, you know, you can always use more jobs. I think a lot of younger people, for example, are excited about circular jobs, circular workforce opportunities. So what is some of this innovation? Well, some of that we'll get into, but a lot of the things I have listed there are about the building materials side of things, because that's heavily our focus is building materials. Why? Because building materials are a huge component of the landfill. They're not just a component of C&D waste, but they are of municipal waste as well. So, and we'll get into some of that innovative stuff. So next slide. Okay, synergy. I love that word. I see it every day at work, and helping these new reuse innovation centers get started. It's so exciting to see these connections being made from entrepreneurs that were doing it on their own, trying to do everything, having to buy everything, renting by themselves, maybe paying a higher square foot price because of the smaller footprint and that kind of thing. And we are, when we see people starting to work together, it's just this wonderful thing. It's like sustainability in 3D. So co-locating, yeah, that's a possibility. The idea is if you co-locate, that you can share some of those expenses. If you rent a 5,000 square foot warehouse or a 50,000 square foot warehouse, the price per square foot drops as the building gets bigger normally, unless the building is some amazing palace. You know, that's generally how it works. So you might find that you're saving money by grouping together and each sharing some of that space. Like we said, a team of businesses that are doing that. The workforce training, wonderful. The most exciting thing about that for me is that each of the partnering businesses may get take on some of those trainees and benefit both ways there. The trainees are benefiting and the businesses are benefiting by having a source of labor that comes in exchange with the training aspects of it. But the training is funded. So that's exciting. And innovative products. Hey, we just heard about some batteries, so we'll want to hear more about that. Maybe we don't have time today, but that's the kind of stuff that is interesting, and anything that could bring great family wage jobs or living wage jobs to Ulster County sounds like a good thing to me. So, okay, next slide. So, one of the things I realized, and I was looking at Costco, is from their base is near where I live, and I was thinking about somebody like that, or Home Depot, and just trying to imagine how easy they seem to have it compared to me. They don't have to manufacture their own inventory, but I do. I literally have to come up with the inventory. I have to essentially manufacture it in a way. I have to produce it by, and for example, when I deconstruct a building and I take a building apart into 1,000 parts, I'm essentially, producing my own inventory. And then I'm collecting it and transporting it. I'm warehousing it, and then I'm marketing it. Now, there may only be one bathtub and one sink that is unique. And then, so I'm having to market one item, whereas Home Depot would market things one time, but it would be for 10,000 of the same items. So we have it is challenging to be in the circular economy. Anybody who's in it now knows what I'm talking about. So anyway, the Reuse Innovation Center is looking at your circular business and saying what's working, what isn't working, how could we make that better, and then making it better. And so that's why it's catching on, because it's removing barriers to being in the circular economy. It's making circular businesses more profitable and more productive, because we want to see them saving more volume. This isn't something where we want to just play around with it. You know, we want to make a huge impact on the waste stream. And the way to do that appears to be our model, which is to work together and to take care of your own operation, you know, work hard on your own operation, but be cognizant of those other businesses around you that in any way you might be able to help them. So next slide. Okay, here's a bunch of text with a bunch of arrows going all over the place. And really that's showing the connectivity of this approach. I could put on the right top, you see green collar jobs. Well, that could be pointing to all sorts of places, right? And, you know, the small, I don't know, you get the idea. There are connection points. And if I connected all of them with all the lines, it would just look like a bunch of lines. You wouldn't even be able to distinguish between them. So there's a lot of connectivity going on here. The repair station, that could involve everyone. Somebody, you know, like somebody at their own, you know, one of those partners, and they have something at their own home and they want it repaired. And well, there's a repair station. Maybe they bring it to work one day and they have it, they pick it up at the end of the day and it's done. The green collar job training, like I said, can you imagine a job training program? I saw one that was with the Parks Department and they were training people to rake leaves. And I'm like, oh, that's nice, except that's pretty a pretty narrow scope. And how about if we do a job training program that covers 7 different industries, which we've identified as being part of our Reuse Innovation Center, and that could involve your business, and they're learning skills about how to market things, how to manufacture things, how to warehouse things, how to, you know, they're learning about construction skills, and they're learning all these things in the same training program. So that's wonderful. So a lot of connectivity. Go on, next slide. And so, you know, obviously we've got a lot more slides, but in summary of this, we started like everybody else. In 1993, I started a circular business. Of course, we didn't know to call it that back then, but we started on our own. We did everything by ourselves. We suffered. We, you know, went without. We, you know, tried to profit, you know, and we did do pretty well right off the bat. But it was really hard, and we tried to do everything ourselves, and I worked like 80 hours a week and all that, you know. This Reuse Innovation Center is really saying, I wish I had more help in the beginning. I wish I had partners. I wish I could have given someone else some of that load where they could have done some of the work. But I am excited about how many green collar jobs we've created, about 1,000 now, throughout the different reuse groups that we've helped. We are really excited about, you know, creating a supply of materials, but really it's the demand through homeowners or maybe local remanufacturing businesses. That's what we're excited about, because they're actually creating a demand for reclaimed materials, and that helps when you come across reuse, you know, reclaimed materials, that you have somewhere for it to go, someone who wants it, you know, a demand built up. So we don't call it supply and demand, we call it demand and supply.
Okay, so Dave,
Affordable.
would this be a good point for people to ask some questions?
Yeah, and that's really what I was thinking, like, you know, kind of summarize, and then does anybody have any questions while I take a deep breath?
we're still gonna get to the conceptual plan, the physical design, the siting conversation, and I think we're gonna go as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Through that stuff so that we can really hear your thoughts about engaging with it. Now? Oh.
Nobody typed anything in the chat either, so.
Hello.
Oh, there's, okay, hi.
Sorry, I raised my hand. Is it okay to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, folks, if I just sent a lot of texts in the chat to various people. I can't thank you enough for making this happen, because the networking potential of what you've created is really, really cool, and obviously very live and happening right in front of us. I just want to say a couple of things. I love what you're doing with the the Reuse Innovation Center. It's exactly what's needed. It's exactly the right timing. Congratulations on all the work you've dedicated to making this happen so far. However, as with many big projects, they take time to enroll and manifest. In the meantime, myself and many other people in this group are obviously taking action now. And I'm curious how to effectively and politically appropriately engage with you guys and your big vision, while simultaneously enacting, from our point of view, a lithium-ion battery collection points, initially a demonstration project, and then widely build that across the state in the next 6 months to a year, which may be before your Reuse Innovation Center starts. So I'm just curious on your thoughts on that.
We've so got this. All right. Sitting in this room is County Legislator Manna Jo Green, who does not kid around when she says that she's working on getting this into the budget for the coming cycle. We have recommended adaptively reusing an existing site, and the person responsible for getting tenants to that site was here for the first few minutes, unfortunately. Bolt. But the former IBM campus, which could not be more perfect in our opinion for a chunk of this. So government, it felt like government was moving slow during the extensive research phase. I promise you it did. But now government really knows what it's doing and could just move pretty fast.
Can I just add one point? I think that's great. I really admire that. I love the way you're doing it. But the reality on the ground is that for us, we may be moving to enact certain things which are parallel to what you're doing. And we'd like to do that with you guys. And we're going to be delivering on what we're talking about here, most probably faster than the Reuse Center can be manifested and built. So my real request, I suppose, of the group is, if you're interested in engaging with us prior to and simultaneous to the process of the Reuse Center being manifested, please reach out and contact us, because we appear to be moving faster than that, and we certainly don't want to create any form of non-synergistic alignment.
Yeah, we have everybody's contact information. We'll plug you in. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Dave, just very, very briefly, or do you want me to just take this one, Dave? Because this is really just a snapshot of a little bit of the complexity involved of identifying the best diversion materials and how we went about it. Maybe we can, keep going rather than really go into this.
Yeah, I mean, all this is there for you to read, and the final report is fairly succinct.
Here's some top materials that we identified after an exhaustive analysis. They don't necessarily have to be comprehensive if it turns out something changes. Because waste streams change, demand changes, things change. So this is not written in stone, but this is what we found were the most accessible, best opportunities.
Oh, yeah, and I'll just say, we have a bigger project going around kind of imagining the shift to circularity in our regional climate action roadmap effort. And I was able to get some conversations going with recycling coordinators of several of the counties. And I think Angie is in those meetings for you guys, but we threw down the challenge. If we're going to shift to circularity and do it faster, let's pick one material at a time that we could actually collaborate on regionally. And they huddled and said, how about textiles? And so they're Orange and Dutchess especially are exploring a much more extensive collection infrastructure than they have. And, you know, this is the kind of thing that, you know, would be perfect for the RIC.
Dave, conceptual plan and the design?
Yeah, so briefly, this is like a color coded, but it's really based on the square footage each of these departments would take up. So the green is a big warehouse storing a lot of material. The brown is a workshop space that is broken down into different spaces for different businesses, where they would rent out some of the space, and there would be, you know, the appropriate power supplies and loading docks and things like that, perhaps. And, you know, this isn't the exact configuration, so it wouldn't be landlocked like that, just so you know. But this isn't based on a real building, so we have to just keep it in the conceptual. You see beside it, there's a classroom. Well, those trainees are learning about all those different things right beside where it's happening. So that's a great way to learn. And those things that are being manufactured in that space are going to the showroom, which is nearby. So all kinds of great things happening in this space. But yeah, one of the problems with the circular economy, which you see in the green here, it takes a lot of space to store. If you're going to divert, you know, thousands of tons from the landfill, you need to have a lot of space. You can't just do what other stores do of buying, you know, your inventory as you need it, kind of get it last second. Just hold an inventory only what you absolutely need to. We don't have that luxury. The materials come in a random assortment of materials and in various quantities. And so we do need a lot of space. So the number one thing to remember is that, you know, you're selling things for less money and you are saving more things. So it isn't always, it's one of the big challenges of our industry, which is rent. You know, how do you rent enough space to store all these materials to make sure they don't get thrown away and display them properly? So that is one of the challenges. Next slide. So yeah, we spent our time looking for a facility, and yeah, maybe we didn't find the exact perfect 100% beautiful building, but it doesn't mean that if funding was found that we couldn't build that building. And somebody would say, well, why would you not adapt to an existing building? Well, that is our preference. The most sustainable building is one that's already built. So it's just that, you know, we are open to different ideas. We are looking, there are only so many large facilities. And also the idea that of having to pay rent forever versus having a facility that you own. So it could be that there is an existing building that's for sale that might be the best choice, so that at some point we can get those rent prices down. Why? Because incubating micro businesses and new businesses and fragile businesses that are doing good for the community but are not generating a lot of profit, they deserve a place to be, and they can only be somewhere that's affordable a lot of times. So that is something.
Dave. Dave.
Dave, we've lost your sound. So, but I think this is probably mostly covered and maybe we can move on to the next slide. Just to give you an idea of the breadth of potential models there are for reuse innovation centers. Here's a list of existing or about to be born ones. And they're all different models, as you can see: private land, privately owned, rented, run by a nonprofit, government owned, nonprofit, you know, so there's all different models that we looked at. We made our recommendations based on analyzing circumstances here and, you know, what a whole bunch of factors, which you're welcome to read in our final report. Dave, are
But
you
I think
back?
highlighting the recommendation is actually not bad, we think that the way that a public-private partnership could work well is if there is budget to defray the cost of the rent. And potentially, you know, that as a startup support, potentially longer term, defraying cost of rent in association with diversion goals as an incentive.
All right, so conceptual plan, we'll go through the rollout strategy. Phase one involves, it's also a coordinated effort, right? You gotta start thinking about policy planning from the legislature's perspective. And you gotta start thinking about doing a proof of concept. So we thought initially we'd start slow, we get a smaller space, potentially one of the smaller buildings as opposed to the larger building we looked at the iPark 87 site, but doesn't have to be there. A reasonably large space that we can just get started in. Need some space for storage. And of course, the big push initially would be training. Training for deconstruction, to get some deconstruction projects, get some smaller projects going, individual projects of deconstruction, materials are generated. Can we partner to find places to dispose of those materials? And by dispose, I mean reintroduce into the circular economy with partners. That would be kind of the birth. And see how that goes, learn from it, improve on it. You know, obviously start out with establishing roles, do the incubation proof of concept. Policy. Yeah. Policy has to be timed very well. It needs to be thought about up front. There are things that have been done elsewhere that have been very helpful. For example, a deconstruction ordinance in Portland, where they said that any building over a certain age had to be deconstructed. Obviously, you can't require deconstruction until you actually have the infrastructure in place to support that. There has to be trained workers, enough trained workers with enough contractors that know how to do deconstruction as opposed to demolition. So that's why training is key to start out, but you have to start thinking about that kind of policy change and when you might reasonably implement it upfront. Flow controls, another way that potentially, you know, this could be improved upon. Requirements perhaps that large generators of waste have to do additional sequestering of the materials so that they could then be you know, reused as opposed to reused easily and shunted in the right direction as opposed to getting thrown out.
Barbara, if I could just say that the legislature is very interested in that particular policy.
Excellent. And I think the way that Portland did it was first they started out with buildings of a certain age. And then as that took on and as they increased capacity to handle the deconstruction, the age of the building became a little newer and a little newer. And I think they were aiming at making it all the way up to 1930 after starting out with 18 something. So that's how that can work and has worked successfully elsewhere. And this is just kind of a flow chart view of what we perceived as the first 6 months. Groundwork policy and planning. Policies could include the deconstruction bids as opposed to demolition on the part of the county or municipalities. Materials, policies about materials reuse on the part of the county or municipalities. Policies regarding how contractors work with the county. Incentives for residents, perhaps, different pricing in terms of permitting or something, the things you have to pay for when you do demolition, when you do deconstruction versus demolition, et cetera.
And then, I'm sorry to interrupt, so I just want to be clear, so none of the legislature wants to change the flood control law to include C and D?
The legislature is interested in requiring, that deconstruction be the highest in the priority. And that, right now, we've just been doing demolition every time a building has to come down. Right. And basically, I think at least initially for county buildings, county-owned properties, but it may be countywide, soon, that people, have to, consider deconstruction. If there's some reason why they can't do deconstruction, then demolition is the second tier. But that, salvaging those materials for reuse, and we had a recent example where the building had asbestos. As far as I'm concerned, the asbestos should not have ruled out deconstruction. And I've been saying it for a couple years, and people aren't practicing it. So I think we're going to legislate it. I didn't understand the question. What was the question?
Right now, only municipal solid waste is under the flow control law, so the C and D would be an addition to that, is what I'm hearing that the legislature wants to include.
But that's not what man. And not so much flow control as that people initially have to consider, and there has to be a good reason why they don't do decommissioning. And I don't think we're gonna have anything to do with the age of the building. That makes sense, the historic buildings. But here there's a lot of demolition going on that could include deconstruction, even partial deconstruction. But as you say, there has to be a facility. I just want to say one other thing that I'm looking forward to, and that is, for better or worse, the legislature has created an upper reform committee. The good thing about it is it's an opportunity for everybody, all the key stakeholders, including the Supervisors Association and both sides of the county and the UCRRA, et cetera. So I think we'll be able to make good progress too. I hope you agree.
For what?
For the idea of everybody working together.
Yeah, I was at the last town supervisors.
Okay.
They spoke about it,
Yeah. And I would just add, we did actually dare to blurt out, consider flow control. In our daring to be naive, it's for you to figure out mode, but, you'll figure it out. Yes,
Gotta
okay.
Dash to ways and means and get some things funded.
Cool. All right.
So this is just really kind of a general, the order in which we think things need to happen.
And, imagining the location that we're considering, which is, close to Accra, but also close to residential neighborhoods. It's not a place people have been coming to a whole lot, shall we say.
So I'm a little confused, the gentleman that was in the back, is it an existing building he was already talking about?
Yes.
He was talking about the old, that she had
Yes,
IBM building.
yes, yes.
So those facilities are huge.
Right.
Okay.
So,
There's
and
a lot of
actually,
buildings on the campus. We
Yeah.
looked at two in particular, a smaller one and a larger one.
yeah, and if you look at the final report, we're suggesting 50,000 square feet interior and 50,000 square feet outdoors. for the ultimate thing. He showed us a 13,000 square foot hulking ruin that we might share as a starter possibility.
Do we know how long it's been empty? I'm
Oh,
sorry.
forever. And it, when I say hulking ruin, I'm not kidding you.
Well, it wasn't
So
like the roof was caved in. I mean, it was, you know,
Okay.
it's solid. I think it's got solid bones.
Okay.
yeah. All right. I know. Got it?
It's a fix.
Yeah. Oh. Okay.
Alright.
Flip.
So on to the next, I think we have Dave back. I don't know, I think he's probably connecting to sound, but anyway, I'll just keep going. So phase two,
Oh,
after supposedly, you know, after the first 6 months in the proof of concept phase and potentially the smaller location, then we would get on to phase two, which is, you know, get started with anchor operations and core business, bring in partnering businesses, but that doesn't have to only start, you know, that obviously we're always going to be looking for additional partners. That doesn't stop at some point. It's an ongoing thing. And it could start before the 6 months, you know, probationary period or introductory period. Yeah, and then, you know, making sure we have a repair business, workforce training operation as an ongoing kind of thing. And this is just the, you know, more specifically, the flow, you know, in order of how we think that needs to take place. Any questions on that or thoughts? Okay. Sourcing plan, you know, there's a whole bunch of things we identified, requiring box stores and other large producers set aside materials. You know, these are all recommendations. Exactly how they'll shake out and what works best remains to be worked out. We've already made some contacts with architects and you know, we'll continue to make contacts with more renovation contractors. And of course, the larger the web grows, the more successful it will be.
And there's two levels of sourcing. So there's integration with the county materials management system. And that's essential to achieve the county waste diversion goals. But there's also all the ingenuity that the partner businesses and projects can exercise. And Dave has been saying businesses for 30 years, 300 times a day. So he always says businesses, but it can also be public sector projects, could be specific programs affiliated with UPRA, could be, you know, a university research project in theory, just anything that is synergistic and advancing reuse can go in there.
Marketing strategy, you know, there's a lot more granular detail to a marketing plan, but the overall strategy here, build awareness in the beginning with top-up activities. For example, when you do an initial project, you're going to have things you can sell potentially in a pop-up. That doesn't necessarily require that you have a large space put aside already, so it's something that can be done early and quickly. Online wish building, that's a tool that Dave has used at his Reuse Innovation Center in Bellingham, Washington to great success. People will go online and they'll have a little spot. They can say, you know, I really need some barnwood or something. And they put their name in, and then when they get some barnwood, they have this wish list to go back to. And it's been very successful. And obviously, you know, building the client base and connecting everyone.
Yeah, that's the demand and supply approach that I mentioned.
We got Dave back. Yay.
Yay. Oh, you know what? Because I know Leanna's here from the Restore, and just this has been a point throughout that, you know, we were tasked with coming up with one facility and figuring out what it made sense to put in one facility. We can imagine that there are lots of good reuse businesses that already have their facilities and that may not be all excited. They may want to be part of the ecosystem, but not necessarily, to move into this facility, especially in its early stages. So part of the recommendation is to really provide publicity support for all the reuse businesses in the county so that we're not falling into inadvertent competition.
And then leading with training, that's a strong point that we kind of came up with as we went through this whole analysis. Specialized hands-on skills, of course, you learn a lot from the deconstruction training as Dave pointed out. But even anybody who wants to learn this stuff, it's going to be important and useful. It'll be useful for contractors to get people trained. And anybody who wants to be part of the RIC can build up the skills of their employees and learn skills from each other. And there would be a space to do that, classroom space, equipment that can be shared and used, tool library, etc.
Do you see like a maker space?
Definitely. Definitely. We've talked to a few artists, and any other kinds of makers. That's part of the whole overall plan. Right, so the budget information on here was based on just certain assumptions of one particular space. So perceive this as an example, not, the budget necessarily. It's all going to depend on the space that we get and how it gets used and how it gets acquired, who owns it, etc. I don't know, anything specific you want to point out about this?
We did compare a new deep green building. There isn't that much new construction, but we just checked the New Paltz Fire Station building, like $24 million. So, we really think that adaptive reuse and a rental is the cost-effective way to go.
Okay. So
how can I make you go fast if I'm making you laugh, right?
Okay, so conclusions. Focus on diverting materials, obviously, that can definitely be used so that they can be turned over. Maximize re-entry into the circular economy. And the idea of diverting upstream, midstream, and downstream, even before maybe, ideal world, upstream enough so that even before somebody starts thinking of it as garbage, right? Somebody's thinking, I'm renovating my house, but I can do something with this material, and it never even in their head becomes waste. It becomes something that they can, put back into use, share. We talked about the proof of concept, training, flow control, and deconstruction ordinance. Whether or not, exactly what that'll look like again is up to Ulster County. And establish a public sector diverting system at upfront transfer stations. Exactly how that might look, again, not up to us.
Can we add something to number 6 there? They have municipal drop-off centers throughout the county. And I think that has to be part of whatever you're looking at as well.
Yeah,
because
when
they-
transfer stations, we meant all those, but we'll clarify.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't call them transfer stations in my mind, they're drop-off centers, but okay.
Okay.
I know everybody has a different phrase.
Manna was calling them transfer stations, so we call
Yeah,
them.
I think that's what Ulster County calls them, but okay.
All right. So here we are.
I'm going to turn on the light. I'm so happy that all of you are.
This is going to turn on the lights. Okay, I could probably stop sharing now and everybody could see you guys on the Zoom.
Can I ask one other thing? Are we gonna get a list of all the participants and their companies and contact information? That would be very.
Yeah, I think we can, if, nobody's really gonna be like undercover here. We can share everybody's contact information, right? Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, and Amber has joined. Do you want to do just a quick intro to your business? 30 seconds? You're the only one who wasn't here at the very beginning.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi there. Yeah, my name's Amber Lashak. I have my company is Redo Studios. We're located in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and we also have our store in Hudson, 555 Warren. Come check it out. Our company does full commercial interiors and furniture from dry construction waste. We're 99% upcycled. We have we manufacture in Brooklyn in our warehouse, and we're about to start doing tiny homes upstate. We just procured a space where we'll be taking in dry construction waste and constructing these tiny homes. So I'm super excited about that. I've been doing reuse for about 8 years now, and we have a collection service where we go around to all the surrounding businesses. We go around to the manufacturers and to their construction sites in our 15-minute supply chain here in Brooklyn. We pick up metal, wood, all kinds of fabrics, all kinds of plastic buckets and cans, and we with our design team kind of transform that stuff into all kinds of things. And some of it goes into our interiors and some of it goes into furniture, which is currently on Warren Street in our store.
Cool. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Comments. What do you think is the most promising sort of out of what you've heard? What do you think is most ready to happen?
I have to go with the metal.
And I mean, I feel like the pop-up activations, the different ways to start just reaching out to people and giving them opportunities to experience what the bigger picture is going to be, seems very promising and kind of like low-hanging fruit.
Like Adam has his hand up again, or still. Adam? He's muted.
Maybe that was from before.
Could be.
I see an opportunity for collaboration here, but also everyone is doing really interesting things that are intersecting, figuring out ways to weave this all together.
Yeah. I mean, we've got metal, we've got several textiles, we've got interiors and furnishings and building materials. What else? And just cool thrift shopping stuff.
No, I was wondering, is there any room? It seems like the focus is on reuse building supplies.
The way we're seeing it is that the first driver is reuse building supplies for county waste diversion goals. But that's an anchor business, but there's no limit to what other businesses could be in there or projects. So if thrift shop wanted to show up, that would be like a cool attractor for people to come in.
Yeah.
I definitely need a lot more space than I'm currently in like 2,000 square feet. And we recycled several 100,000 items in the last year and a half. Half of which are given away for free. But that process is really, really swift. And a big component of it is how many people are coming through. So we're now down to about 2 weeks from the time somebody comes in until it's given away for free, if not sooner. But that means that there's
an extreme need in the community at all income levels. And then when I go and I see all the bins around town that have bags of goods sitting outside of them, I know that there's people in the community that could make use of those. They don't have access to them. And I personally, I made this specific model as an experiment to see if it was sustainable. But I want to go do other things in my life. So I really need to find a way that I can partner with other people to ensure that this resource exists for the community.
Loving it.
And I'm really concerned if it is possible for me to make something like that happen in coordination.
Yeah, I think Eliza has had to drop, but I just want to emphasize, so her role is, she's called Entrepreneur in Residence at SUNY New Paltz. And she has some funding to do technical support for business startup and early stage companies that, and
We're
especially.
wildly profitable. There's no, and we're also paying our partners very well.
Yeah,
My-
so I mean, there's resources to help
Really,
with
my
the
only
problem solving that
conflict
you're
is
working on.
space.
So
Oh.
space is a big
Space.
concern.
Yeah.
You know, Adam
And
here also put it
places
here,
are-
something interested in space potentially. Sorry.
Can I just ask a question about space? Does it matter? Does Syracuse, I mean, is Ulster County, I mean, is there room for other places potentially to do some of these, beginning models and testing them out?
And have you already helped start in New York State?
Say that again?
Asking Dave how many he's already started in New York State in terms of other locations.
Yeah, I mean, there's at least 8 or
7, yeah. So we've helped with 7 other locations in New York State, but not reuse innovation centers. This would be, if it would be looked at as the leading effort in the entire state if it came together as we've been talking about it. What I mean by that is like a circular economic center that hasn't really been tried. But yeah, we do plan to connect with many other parts of the state and people who are located in other towns and whatever, because to complete this, some of the materials, some of the supply would probably leave Ulster County and go to other locations to be utilized. But the goal is to divert Ulster County's waste stream. But yeah, it'll probably even extend beyond that. So
The reason why I'm asking is that I recently potentially came into the possibility of 150 acres that are in Dutchess County. It doesn't have structure at the moment. I mean, there's always, it's like, the very, very big, I'm just wondering about like potential annexes that support and are kind of part of an organism as opposed to, because I think the owner would be up for something like a Quonset hut that doesn't require heating, but where, nutrients, these materials are coming in and could be, at least stored there.
Is that Amber?
yeah.
What we just don't know, but we're trying to understand, how much stuff is gonna come through this from Ulster County. And then what will be the kind of natural flow of stuff as word spreads and the market builds and stuff. But there is, Ulster County's funding is gonna focus on Ulster County's waste diversion goals. But broader network of entrepreneurs and creatives that are working on this, we're not limited to Ulster County. So I think we can just organically see how that plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Bellingham Reuse Innovation Center, we build tiny homes out of our reclaimed materials. It's not a huge part of what we do, but it is a big effort. And we absolutely do not have room for that on our property, our Reuse Innovation Center property. So yeah, a lot of we are having to look, ways to expand that. But so yeah, I think it's really common in all of the states that we work in to see people working on multiple sites. We just want to offer the idea that sharing a site could be an efficient choice. So
Cool. I'd love to hear more about that, Dave, at some point.
I know I got to talk to you. Yeah.
Amazing. But yeah, but this 150 acres is a real thing in Dutchess County. So I just, just putting it out there, stating it that as a potential, part somehow.
Any thoughts from any of the quiet ones in the room or on Zoom?
Anybody else on Zoom? Nobody's got their hand up.
This is Jason. I was curious, and I apologize. I had to step away for a few minutes. So if this was mentioned, and I missed it. I apologize. But I was curious. Is there a ballpark target date for phase 1 to start?
What's clear is that the supporting legislators and I think the executive branch want to put it into this budget cycle and just see how fast it can move.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And we are 48 hours away from being the former consultants on this project. But we're, you all know how to find us. And so all the folks who are in the implementation circle, which includes UCRA and City of Kingston and local government, everybody will do the more hands-on planning and, reality check what we've recommended against their, clearly deeper ground knowledge. And they may say, yes to this stuff and no to this other stuff. But that'll take probably, months with everything that's going on just to make sure that the planning is really concrete. Right, Tim?
Complete fit.
Have a few conversations.
Working government. Time.
Yeah. I mean, there's no plan other than to move as fast as coherently can happen. Whatever that means.
But we do have the support of Manager Green, the legislator who was here earlier, had to leave, and she's really wants it to be starting in 2024, if at all possible. Circularity Summit.
So while we are about to be the former consultants on this project, to make darn sure that we stay in touch with everybody, we have hatched the idea of a circular economy summit. And it is going to be February 9th because Dave happens to be on the East Coast, and we can cost share his travel if we do that. And all plans, we're just starting to plan it, but if the Reuse Innovation Center is crystallized and it's helpful to have a breakout group on it or an update on it or whatever it may be, we're making that offer, and we are just starting to pull in ideas for what would really be a pragmatic, useful, program for this event. Any other questions? Worrying anybody?
So
Or go ahead.
So Melissa, we'll send out some outreach to people between now and February, right? Like,
Oh,
because
yeah.
I can feel the anticipation of this, and and I'd hate to lose anyone. And even if they had to start their own facility, like a battery facility, that doesn't mean that they can't be a part of the team, because we could be a collection point for batteries. We could be a place that the batteries are sold, stuff like that, right? This is, but we don't want to lose anybody. We got to make sure we keep everybody in interested, and then as we hear about opportunities, that we can share that with people.
Absolutely. Yeah, there are nods and thoughtful looks on faces.
And I have a quick, I guess maybe comment or a thought, as far as the summit is concerned. If maybe there could be some kind of component around worker co-ops, just because it seems like there's overlap, for whatever businesses may end up in the RIC, and they're still forming, or they're still like in a growing phase. Maybe it would be good for people to learn about the worker co-op governance structure.
Yeah, I don't know if she mentioned it, but Justine, who was on earlier from Found and Fixed, they have that structure. They have a worker-owned structure.
Yeah, that's what made me think. I remembered that she mentioned it in the chat. So that's it.
Yeah, of the existing operations, there's everything you can think of, like worker cooperatives, or regular private businesses, or government run operations. There's all the options on the table. I'm so thankful to Melissa for bringing up the fact that this isn't all about just businesses. This is about whatever it takes to attack that waste stream and benefit the community. And I like what Manna had said one time. I think it was Manna that said, just because something doesn't make money doesn't mean it shouldn't be done, right? Because we often are just working on the assumption that if something, doesn't make money, then it can't be done, and it can't be, in this case, subsidized so that it is economically viable. So everything's on the table, every idea, and I love figuring out how it all fits together like a giant puzzle that is just absolutely benefiting the community in every way possible. And I love the idea that it stretches out into other counties like Dutchess County, and that, and all that. That's definitely what we're seeing in other areas.
Cool. And I just cannot thank Barbara and Dave enough for, we estimate that we did about 400% of the dollar value of our contract, just in terms of the hours, but hopefully we gave good value in terms of putting enough detail together and a coherent vision. You can see all the deliverables and then the final report on www.sustainhv.org. And we'll see them within a day or two on the County Department of the Environment's website as well. And, I know they want expressions of interest, however well-developed or exploratory they are.
So in
Alex.
terms of just community members reaching and letting the legislature know this is important to us, what's the best way to do that?
I would guess writing letters to the legislature as a whole, or the committee, Recycling Oversight Committee and Energy, Environment, and Sustainability are the two most relevant committees. But I think through your legislator, and you can spread that word too.
The Recycling Oversight Committee is one, and the chair is Laura Petit, and with Energy and
Environment and Sustainability chair is Manna.
But I would say, write to your own representative as well. because, you know, a breadth of interest is great. If everybody in the legislature is hearing it, you'll get that much more support.
Yeah, well, it's been really good to meet everyone and hear what everyone is working on. Yeah, I know some people came from a distance, thank you. But
Yes, thank
hopefully you will feel part of it or think of ways to be part of it. All right.
Great.
All right, we set you free. We'll follow up with contact information.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Thank you.
Available.
Thank you.
On Zoom. I mean, on YouTube as we were able to get it up.
What doesn't kill you makes it stronger, right?
Great. Thanks, Barbara.
Thanks, guys.
David, I left you a message. Check it.
I know I'm going to send you my number. I'll text it to you.
Okay, excellent. Looking forward to
All
it.
right.
Oh, and who would be the main people who would be concerned about that?